Hello, and thank you for listening. My name is Luke Mardigan, and you are listening to Be Insured, where we talk about business, leadership, and insurance. That way, on your worst day, when you need it the most, you will be insured. I own the Mardigan Agency in St. John's, Michigan. We're a full-service insurance agency, and a lot of people ask me, why do you have a radio show? It's because we've been able to accomplish something that very few captive agencies can or have been able to do, and that's we have a self-managing team, and we have a scalable sales system. That's allowed us to grow to about double the size of the average captive insurance agency in the United States. And we want to share some of our best practices, tips, and techniques with you on how you can grow your business. And in 2021, we have a theme, no-brainers and never happens. No-brainers and never happens are core to how we operate and how we get things done. And today we're going to talk about why your process should be so simple anyone can understand it. And joining me for today's conversation is our guest,
Alec Nurnberg, Director of Operations for the Mardigan Agency.
And my awesome co-host and color man,
Eric Gestring, the Mardigan Agency. So Luke, how does having a complicated process harm businesses?
Well, if you make it complicated, then they know you need them. They have to do business with you. It's so complex they can never do it on their own, right? It's not that simple. That's literally the lie that's been told in corporate America for decades. Is it's complex. Just let us.
You can't do it on your own.
Yeah, you can never do it. You have to pay us to do it, right? And reality is, it harms your business because it costs a lot of time making things more complicated rather than making it simple. Mm-hmm. And you burn trust the more complex that you make it.
Yeah,
you just burn it, right? Marriott just got back from a few days in freezing cold Florida, unfortunately. But
it was warmer in Michigan.
It was warmer in Michigan than it was in Florida, but whatever. I was in Florida.
Yeah, so. That's why I told you got to go to the Keys. It's always warm. Next time.
You paying?
No, next time.
Okay.
Just go west.
Yeah.
Go west.
Nevada.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Arizona's going to be the next one for sure. Yeah. But, Marriott makes the check-in process so simple that I love staying at Marriott's. You literally can check in on your phone at the airport, and they give you a Bluetooth wireless, like a keyless entry on your phone, and you can just go right up to your room. You don't even have to go to the front desk. You put your phone up to the door, and you're in your room.
That's it.
That's pretty cool.
Like, why do I got to talk? Like hotels forever have been like, oh, may I be at your service? And they're like, you got to go through and they type in all your information, and they put. Right. You already have it all. It's 2021. I put it all in the app. You have it. You have my payment info because I have a Marriott card. Like, you have everything. So why wouldn't it be that simple? So I trust Marriott with my stays with my family anywhere in the nation, anywhere in the world, because their process is so simple.
And that's good for you, and it's good for them. I mean, that saves them cost. It's everybody wins when you do things the right way.
Dude, there's nothing worse than walking into a hotel and having a line of like 8 people with one person checking them in. That's the worst. It makes me want to leave. Literally makes me want to.
You're creating a redundancy anyway if you already have their information.
Yes.
Right? Why is it that so many places do that?
Why did it take so long for people to understand that to make it to the point of cutting those costs?
Yeah, we just got there in 2021.
Yeah, right. Congratulations.
Yeah. So Marriott's the bomb. Shout out to Marriott.
Luke, what does it mean to have a user-friendly process? And what does that look like?
It means you have the acronym we were talking about, KISS. Keep it stupid, simple. Maybe that's not politically correct today. Yeah. Can't call people stupid.
Yeah,
keep it somewhat simple.
Somewhat simple? Ooh, no. Super simple. Keep it super simple. We just made a new acronym, folks. Keep it super simple. Or in the military, like the Army has this stupid soldier principle, right? You can only make the plan as complex as your dumbest soldier can understand. Because if one person
that was always Alec.
Oh, yeah. No,
that was always me.
The Marine Corps, none of them can read. So it's
you wouldn't believe the problems.
They have little action figures they push around on a table to describe their plan of action.
All right, guys.
Alec, go here.
Yeah. All right. Alec, you're playing Snake Eyes. Okay. So Snake Eyes figurine is yours. We're going to G.I. Joe this. So it's having really a simple, clear, easy to follow, easy to complete process. So, I'll use an example of something very complex that we made simple. Okay. Life insurance is very complex. The underwriting process, the application process, the forming of the policy and the proper endorsements, that's all really complex. And when it goes into force, it's a unilateral contract. It's literally a one-sided contract. The only thing that you have to do is die, and then everything is on the insurance company to fulfill the contract. So that makes it even more complex because the insurance company has to protect their interests because it's a unilateral contract. It's one-sided. Once it goes into force, like there's not much they can do about it. And we used to have a process that we had to ask like all these either we had to ask all the health questions up front, or we had filled out like an 8 or 9 page application, which was outrageous.
Not to mention you'd have to do it again. There'd be redundancy.
Yeah, like it'd be like the same information on 4 different pages, you know, and the guy signed in 3 places. Like they're signing up. It's like literally like my mortgage closing took as long as it used to be to fill out life applications, right? And then we went to an online system, and we have so now we have electronic. Okay, cool. So that removes some redundancy. But the big breakthrough was we used to have to schedule a paramed where somebody come out and draw your blood, weigh you, which still happens occasionally, but it's the exception, not the rule. And then you'd have to do this phone interview that took like 15 to 20 minutes where you'd answer like every health question in the world, like what health issues your siblings and parents have and all this crazy stuff. And what we did as an agency is I took all that process that used to take super long, and I was able to boil it down into a pre-application that's just a page and a half long. It takes 5 to 10 minutes for the client to fill it out. So imagine I'm selling 4 years ago, and I'm sitting down with a couple, and they know they need life insurance. They've talked about it. They read the articles online. They're Dave Ramsey all the way, going to buy some term life insurance, invest the difference, which no one ever does. But that's a conversation for another day. Infinite banking is the answer to that. But and I sit down with them. I know they want it. And then I'm like, all right, well, here's the process. And like 20 minutes later, I've explained the process to them. So we're going to fill out this really long application. It's going to take me 10 minutes to do each of them right in front of you. So you're going to have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs for 10 minutes while your kids cry.
Not only that, they're not,
dog barks.
As of the last episode we just recorded, they're not involved in the process.
No, yeah. Their only involvement is me bugging the crap out of them basically to get information, schedule a paramed, schedule the phone call.
Which is not what they pay for.
If they don't want, I mean, like even for me, like to do my own phone calls for my own kids, it's like, dude, I got to find 20 minutes to get on the phone and talk to somebody about something.
So you revolutionized this process by creating a pre-app that's done virtually.
Yes. On their phone or computer.
Giving them accountability and giving them the opportunity to be involved in this process, I think has... How good has that worked, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, so last year was a crazy year. We rebuilt the structures of the agency. We let a couple employees go. We added 4 employees last year, and so my production for the year was not there going into the fourth quarter. Well, in like 40 or 50 days, we were able to write 40 life applications and get them placed in force because of this process is so simple. So now it's as simple as, hey, I got this pre-app. I'm going to send it over. It's 10 minutes to fill it out. We'll let you know once you're approved. Because about 95% of the people who apply don't require the blood work anymore. They just get approved straight through with medical records and all the modern stuff that we have that we can get access to their medical remotely.
And it's all, I think it's, it's you want a simple process, but perception is a big deal too. Like in theater, you pay for a ticket, you go watch a play, and you see this very well flowing story take place right in front of your eyes. But what you don't see is when the curtains close and the wardrobe changes take place and the set changes take place.
The madness
and the people
and the stress.
People crying and screaming and all of that, like when we have somebody fill out the pre-app, that's a simple process for them. But we do have some chaos that takes place behind the scenes. And they don't need to know that. They just need to know that the process is in place. It's consistent.
Well,
and
you're making it less visible to see the chaos.
Exactly. That's why the set changers were all black, right?
But they're still a part of it, right? So modern theater, a lot of modern theater has been getting the audience involved. Dave Chappelle is phenomenal at this, where he'll like leave open-ended questions and have people fill in the answer, which is never the actual answer. It's always something, incongruent with the question, which makes it funny. And you have public speakers who now are going out into the audience and engaging people. And they, we had a guest on, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he does magic live. And he literally brings people up and like does magic with them as part of his message, and so he says, like, here's the magic trick. Now let's change our perspective. Now, can you see how I did it? Oh, I get it now. Well, that's how it takes in life, and he uses that in the audience involvement. Well, that's your process has to be simple and engaging the audience. So we talked about, a couple episodes ago about how people should know where they're at in the process. Well, the way they know is because they're engaged in it.
Yeah.
And it's simple, so they don't feel overwhelmed or like it's another thing for them to do.
And they're giving in your pre-app that was created, are they giving their expectation of what's budget friendly?
Nope.
Any of those things?
Nope.
Or is that just...
We don't talk about price until they're approved because we don't know what the rate's going to be. Because they could be anywhere from super preferred, which is like half off almost, to they could be table rated because they have some health issues, or they could be declined, or they could be,
So the expectation they have is they're going to find out if they're approved or not.
Yes. Yeah. And so they know the next step.
So doesn't that simplify?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's hey, well, how much is it going to cost? I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll be able to fit it in your budget. The important thing is that we get you approved, and then we can sit back down and we can hammer down some numbers.
Right, there will be options.
Yes.
Yeah.
People pay for...
There's no financial commitment. They don't feel like they're, getting hooked into something they don't want to buy.
Right.
It's just fill out the pre-application. Let's get you approved. And, with that process, our placement went from like 66% up into the mid-90s.
Well, it's a lot more subtle too, right? When you're making sure that they know that there's no obligation here.
Well, it shows that you actually care about protecting their family, not making the sale. Because I don't even know how much commission I'm making on it because I haven't even come up with a price yet.
Right.
But yeah, I think, right. Like, just like Eric said, you're on the right track, Eric.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Good affirmation, Alex.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Sorry.
We got to work on that, I think.
Yeah.
Words of affirmation is not Alex Loveland,
no,
apparently. He's like, good, you.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
Eat Korean. Yeah.
People pay for service, but they also pay for simplicity, right?
Yeah.
So are we simplifying the process? Absolutely. 100%. And like you said with the play, that was great because there's so much going on behind the scenes that they don't have to know about and be involved in that is all able to be handled from a pre-application with information we already know.
And that's just one example, right? Let's use another example. Agent reviews. So if your agent doesn't do reviews with you, call the Mardigan Agency, hit us up on Facebook. That's MARDIGIAN. You need an agent who does annual reviews with you, especially with this rapidly evolving, crazy changing world that we have. You really need to have an agent who's on top of your current life situation and knows how to properly protect you. So let's assume you're with an awesome agent who does reviews with you every year. Then a review is not dropping off a binder, by the way, asking how you're doing. That's not a review.
Bringing donuts. Come on.
A review should be at least 15, 20 minutes. And it should be talking about specific things with the amount of risk that you have personally or your business has.
Right.
Just clarify that. Because a lot of people, I talk to my agent every year. He drops a binder off and says hi.
What are you
That's
talking
not
about?
the same. Yeah. I love independence. Just here's a cool binder with some clip art.
Brought you some pens.
Would you like
some stress balls?
Would you like a coaster? And so if you have an agent who does reviews, that review process should take no more than 15 or 20 minutes, unless you have something that you really want to talk about that's going to take a lot of time.
Right.
All right. I sit down with my consulting clients and I ask them if they have a consistent review process. And they're like, I just go through their deck pages with them. You just go line by line through the declarations and it all works out. And I'm like, well, how long do those appointments take? I don't know, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, that's a really big range for you. Like, explain your process to me. And then they go through this whole complex, convoluted thing that they never really follow every time, but it kind of looks like it. And then we implement our review process, which is, again, a 1.5-page form that specifically has even like the wording of the question you ask and then space on it to write things in. And then the biggest issue with them in their review process is it wasn't so simple that they couldn't just hand it off to their staff. So the client's getting this complex hour-long conversation about God knows what that probably doesn't need to be discussed. And then when it's all done, the agent, it's so complex and there's so many things that were talked about that he doesn't even have a good place for his notes that are organized. And then it's so disorganized, he can't just hand it to his staff to get it taken care of. So he or she just ends up doing all the work themselves. So now this, what should have been a 15 or 20 minute review turns into 2 hours of that agent's time. And then they wonder why their sales numbers suck.
Right. And retention probably.
I'm like, bro, it's because you spent 2 hours with this one client and you didn't even change, like it needed like 2 changes that your staff could have done. They're really simple things.
Yeah. And when you have that consistent process in place, I think it allows the client to become more trusting of you. They know what to expect after you're 2 or 3 probably, that this is taking place every year, same time. And these are the questions. And,
our company that we use to set up our reviews, they flat out told me, we never have agents who have clients that say yes as quickly as yours do. They literally pick up the phone and say, hey, Luke, and they think you're calling them and it's me. And I'm shocked by that. And I'm like, that's because they have an expectation of how simple our process is that they want to talk to us. Because they're like, I can find 15 minutes to talk to you about what I spend $300-$400 a month on.
Yeah.
Because it's simple. And so big to do for our listeners. Look at the things you're doing consistently that are client facing, involving your clients, and figure out how you can streamline that as much as possible into a 1 or 1.5 page form.
Simple process
that you can then replicate and delegate to other people. That'll allow you to scale. It'll free your time up at the business as a business owner to work on revenue producing activities, and it'll make your clients and your employees much happier because it's stupid simple. Super simple. Sorry. And so thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow up with us on Instagram and Facebook at The Mardigan Agency. And we'll see you next time on Be Insured.